he told me that like the gist of it, that he did something to his parents. I was like, bro, I don't want to know any details.
After you saw this scene, what did you do?
I was in shock. I was sitting down. I didn't know what to do.
With me, Sarah. You and him both are dumb, psychotic little and I'm telling you now, I'm going to show you psycho.
State of Florida versus Rachel Wade, murder in the second degree. We, the jury, find as follows: ask that the defendant in this case. The defendant is guilty of murder in the second degree as charged. So say we all.
At the bottom of the guidelines, 246 months, which turns out to be 20 and a half years to life.
Mackenzie Shirilla is being called hell on wheels. She's accused of driving her car at 100 miles an hour into a brick building to intentionally kill her boyfriend, 20-year-old Dominic Russo, and his friend, 19-year-old Davian Flanagan.
What happens when reckless youth confront the unimaginable reality of life sentences? These are dangerous teenagers reacting to life sentences. Meet Tyler Hadley, the teenager who murdered his parents simply to experience what it was like to kill. At St. Lucie County Court, 17-year-old Tyler Hadley was about to face the consequences of an unimaginable crime. At just 17, Tyler decided to murder his parents, Mary Jo and Blake Hadley. Known for his rebellious behavior, Tyler's actions had been building up to something far worse. On the morning of July 16, 2011, Tyler posted on Facebook, "Party at my crib tonight." Later that day, he took 3 ecstasy pills, then grabbed a claw hammer and attacked his parents from behind while his mom sat at the computer. After the brutal attack, he moved their bodies into the master bedroom and cleaned up, making sure everything was ready just in time for the party. Tyler used his dead parents' credit cards to pay for the party and then invited some friends over. About 60 people showed up that night. Some guests later said the house smelled like dead bodies. During the party, Tyler told a few people what he had done, but they thought he was just drunk or high.
He told me that the kid got up, and he was like, he told me that like the gist of it, that he did something to his parents. I was like, bro, I don't want to know any details.
Eventually, Tyler confessed to a friend who reported him to the police.
After he told me, I didn't believe him because he's been my best friend forever. I would never suspect anything like this. I opened the door. I saw bloody sheets piled everywhere. I saw broken pictures with blood on them, and I looked down and I saw his dad's leg.
After you saw this scene, what did you do?
I was in shock. I was sitting down. I didn't know what to do.
Since Tyler was a minor, he couldn't face the death penalty. But in 2014, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
It is hereby the judgment and sentence of the court that as to both counts 1 and 2, the defendant be sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. I'm going to make these sentences consecutive.
At just 19 years old, Rachel Wade became involved in a tragic situation that led to the death of another woman, all because of a love triangle. The drama began when Rachel's ex-boyfriend, Josh Camacho, began dating a woman named Sarah Luden. Rachel, still in love with Josh, started competing for his attention, even though both women knew he was abusive. Rachel would send Sarah angry and threatening messages, and the two women often fought.
With me, Sarah. You and him both are dumb, psychotic little and I'm telling you now, I'm going to show you psycho.
On the night of April 14th, 2009, Rachel claimed that Sarah drove up to her yelling, "Stay away from my man," while holding a steak knife. Rachel then went to Josh's house where she confronted Sarah. When asked what she did before leaving her apartment, Rachel stated,
"What did you do before you left your apartment?"
I grabbed a knife.
Rachel said she was scared and, in a panic, stabbed Sarah in the shoulder and chest, with one of the stabs hitting her heart. However, the police and other witnesses said Sarah never left her car, and it was Rachel who approached and attacked her. Sarah tragically died at 2:20 a.m. the next morning. Rachel was charged with second-degree murder and sentenced to 27 years in prison on September 3, 2010.
State of Florida versus Rachel Wade, murder in the second degree. We, the jury, find as follows: ask that the defendant in this case. The defendant is guilty of murder in the second degree as charged. So say we all.
At the bottom of the guidelines, 246 months, which turns out to be 20 and a half years to life.
In the Bernalillo County District Courtroom in Mexico, 15-year-old Nehemiah Griego was about to face punishment for a shocking crime he committed on July 19, 2013. The tragic event left 5 of his family members dead, shaking the entire country. What made it even more disturbing was that Nehemiah, the family's oldest son, was the one responsible. Nehemiah, now in jail, had admitted to investigators that he shot and killed his parents and 3 younger siblings. He started by shooting his mother, Sarah Griego, around midnight with a .22 rifle. His little sister, who was only 5 years old and awake at the time, was also killed.
Pulled it out. Pulled the trigger. Why did you aim the gun? That face. I just couldn't sleep. I had a hard time sleeping. So what'd you do when you went to your sister's room? You know, I completely turned off my conscience. I really did. You know, I just let the beast come out.
After that, Nehemiah waited downstairs for his father, Greg Griego, to come home from work at a homeless shelter. When Greg arrived around 5 a.m., Nehemiah used an AR-15 type rifle to shoot him multiple times, taking him by surprise. Nehemiah then did something chilling. He sent a photo of his mother's body to his girlfriend and loaded the family van with rifles, planning to go on a shooting spree. He even thought about dying in a gunfight with the police. But instead of carrying out his plan, he went to the family's church and told the pastor that his family had been killed. The pastor called 911, and soon, the police found the tragic scene. Nehemiah changed his story a few times before finally admitting to the crime. Nehemiah confessed that he had been dealing with dark, violent thoughts, which led him down this terrible path. He was charged with 2 counts of murder and 3 counts of child abuse that resulted in death. In court, Nehemiah expressed regret.
I am sorry for taking our parents and our sibs. You know, I wish I could take it back, but reality is that we can't. I want no retaliation. I love you guys, and I want to see the best for y'all. And whatever you may do, and I do pray for you guys to have healing the way I'm having healing.
He was sentenced to 3 life sentences, plus an extra 7 years. He must serve 30 years before he can even think about parole. Ethan Crumbley seemed like any other 15-year-old student at Oxford High School in Michigan. But on November 30th, 2021, he revealed a shocking and deadly plan.
We do begin, though, with that breaking news this morning with that tragic school shooting in Oxford, Michigan. The 15-year-old suspected shooter is now in custody after opening fire inside Oxford High School, killing at least 3 students and injuring 8 others.
Chilling new video shows students in lockdown before escaping out of a window to run for safety.
Armed with a semi-automatic handgun, Ethan walked into the school's hallways and opened fire. Chaos broke out as students ran for cover. Ethan even aimed into classrooms as people tried to escape. Luckily, the alert went out quickly, and teachers and students took action to stay safe, limiting the damage he could cause.
Sheriff's office! Yeah, we're here.
Though the attack only lasted about 5 minutes, Ethan left devastation behind. By the time police arrested him, he had killed 4 students and injured 7 others, including a teacher. Ambulances lined up outside, and some were rushed away on stretchers. The next day, Ethan faced serious charges: terrorism causing death, first-degree murder, and others. His trial was full of emotion. Finally, on December 9th, 2023, Ethan Crumbley was sentenced to life in prison without any possibility of parole.
Terrorism causing death. Sentence of the court is that defendant shall serve life without the possibility of parole. Credit for 8 days served. Counts 2 through 5. Homicide, first degree, premeditated murder, juvenile defendant. Sentence of the court is that defendant shall serve the rest of his life without the possibility of parole.
Mackenzie Sherrill was headed to prison for intentionally causing the deaths of 2 people.
Mackenzie Sherrill is being called hell on wheels. She's accused of driving her car at 100 miles an hour into a brick building to intentionally kill her boyfriend, 20-year-old Dominic Russo, and his friend, 19-year-old Davian Flanagan.
In the Cuyahoga County Common Pleas Court, 17-year-old Sherrill was about to hear her sentence. What started as a fairy tale relationship had turned into a tragic nightmare. In July 2022, Mackenzie, her boyfriend Dominic Russo, and his friend Davin Flanagan were in a terrible crash that instantly killed Russo and Flanagan.
'87 Central is going to be a signal 30. Hey, anybody in there? Wake up.
At first, it looked like a tragic accident or maybe a case of reckless driving. But as investigators looked deeper, they discovered something much darker. Mackenzie and Dominic had been in a rocky, toxic relationship, and things had only gotten worse. In the weeks before the crash, they were constantly fighting. According to family members, Mackenzie had even threatened to crash her car with Dominic inside. A mechanic expert testified in court that moments before the crash, Mackenzie had pushed the gas pedal all the way down without touching the brake. Then, a security video showed her car speeding down a street and crashing straight into a building without slowing down at all. The evidence was chilling. This wasn't just an accident. Mackenzie had decided to end her relationship in a deadly way, and she didn't mind taking everyone with her. On August 14th, 2023, Mackenzie Sherrill was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison, with her first chance for parole after 15 years.
The court, having had count 8 tried to pursuant to waiver, finds the defendant, Mackenzie Sherrill, guilty of felonious assault.
Meet Aiden Fucci, who was only 14 when he shocked the world by stabbing his classmate 114 times. In a St. Johns County courtroom, Aiden Fucci, now 16, left everyone stunned with his complete lack of remorse for the brutal murder of 13-year-old Tristan Bailey. On May 9th, 2021, Tristan's family reported her missing when she didn't come down to help with a Mother's Day meal.
I walked out and Sophia was making breakfast by herself, and I was like, "Where's Tristan?" And she's like, "She's still sleeping." And then my son came downstairs. I asked him to go upstairs and to wake up Tristan for breakfast. I ran upstairs and went to her room, and she wasn't there. I went to the bathroom. I went to our TV room upstairs. She wasn't there. Everyone just started running to every single room. I ran outside and called the police, and our nightmare started.
Hours later, a resident discovered her body in a nearby wooded area. At first, the community believed this was the work of a random attacker, but soon, the disturbing truth emerged. Tristan was murdered by her own classmate, Aiden. Reports showed surveillance footage of Tristan and Aiden walking together on the day of the murder. Friends later shared that Aiden had a dark obsession with violence. He would joke about killing, even sneaking up behind people as if he were about to slit their throats. Aiden even had 2 knives he'd named Poker and Picker. Though Aiden initially pleaded not guilty, he changed his plea to guilty in February 2023. On March 24, 2023, he was sentenced to life in prison, with a chance of parole after 25 years. This shocking case left a community and a nation grappling with the unthinkable. What are your thoughts on these cases? Share with us in the comments section. Please subscribe and like for more videos.